Everybody, welcome to the regular meeting, the last one of the year, Tuesday, Monday, December 9th. I'm reading this Monday. Monday, December 9th. It is 7:03, so we'll order then, and we will do roll call.
President Valerie Reinfeller.
Here.
Vice President Andrew Patillo.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Present.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller.
Here.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Brett Ivanovich.
Here.
Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams.
Here.
And Mayor Paul Gamrat.
Here.
Great, awesome. And stand if you can. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And before we start public comment, we did want to do a budget presentation, and I will have Michelle kick that off. And just to start off, we have about 9 attendees online, and we have 3 people in person.
Thank you, President. Ashley's going to pull it up so everyone can see the presentation. So just this PowerPoint, I would just like to address some things that were brought up at the council workshop. Through this PowerPoint, I'm confident that it will clear up any uncertainty and enhance the borough's dedication, transparency among residents of Churchill Borough. So this first slide now is due to from form that we get directly from our finance co-op that we do with another municipality. And this is just a general due to from report that is received on a monthly basis from the other co-op that we're working with. And you can see here that it clearly states $285,000 with excess as well. And that it states above that in blue due to general fund, and it calls out the capital reserve. So I want to explain with this slide what exactly a due to from is. It is kind of like an IOU in simple terms. With this, the borough has multiple funds within our banking system. But with this, we only cut out checks from the general fund. So only checks are physically written from our general fund. So in this instance, our capital had some expenditures, but that check for the capital purchase or whatever we bought was done from the general fund. And that was made during 2024. So our capital had to replenish the general fund in this instance. So why do we use due froms? This is a very common local government practice that a number of municipalities do use. As I stated, as I stated before, all expenses are paid out of the general fund. So a due from allows the borough to track where the money is going and how it's being transferred from different accounts. And it's more of an accountability. At no point were the funds missing or unaccounted for. In fact, with the due from reports, it's exactly the opposite of that. They were completely accounted for the whole time, thanks to this process that we are using in our local government. I know this is kind of small printing. Sorry, you can't see it in full, but this is a breakdown of our entire capital due to froms within the year of 2024. So this breaks it down with every purchase that was sent out and every grant that was brought in with the various capital projects that we have done in 2024.
Pardon the interruption.
Yes.
I'm watching online as well, and we're still on the first slide. I don't know if that's just my computer not refreshing or if other folks are seeing that as well.
You're only seeing the first slide.
Yeah, it's not changing on the share screen for some reason.
You can see it on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it on this side, but if people are watching online, they can't. But now we're on the capital due from slide.
Just right.
Okay. Just wanted to,
Can you see it now?
yes. Yep, I see what's on the screen.
Thank you.
On this slide is a very detailed breakdown of our capital expenditures. This is revenue, I'm sorry. No, this is delayed as well. So there is a delay. Yeah. The next slide you'll be seeing eventually is a very detailed revenue versus expenditure breakdown of the capital fund. It accounts for every major capital project that was done. And in 2024, there is a negative of $164,000. And it's important to call out that that negative $164,000 was a 2023 approved purchase, capital project, I'll say. So that was an ADA bathroom that we did receive some grant funds for, but it didn't cover it its entirety. Also, there was a female locker room that was completed. Also, there were a vehicle for the police department that was approved by council at the beginning of the year. And there were some storm sewer emergency repairs as well. So during this entire expenditures for 2024, the finance committee and council are provided information on a routine basis in regards to the different purchases. They are approved, especially with the ADA bathroom that was approved by council prior, as well as the police vehicle. A general practice that we have here is that all invoices for general and capital projects are shared with all of our council at a monthly basis. So all council sees all of our invoices that are done throughout the year. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not sharing on here. So I continue, why do we use due froms? Overall, they are used in local governments to provide detailed accountability. Note that the borough is not asking for a possible mill increase because of any missing funds that were possibly stipulated. As you can see, we work very diligently to keep records of all of the borough's funds and purchases. Council and administration strive for constant transparency, and we want to make sure that the residents of Churchill Borough and their property are protected. So I thank you for your attention, and I will give it back to our president.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I really appreciate that. And now we will move on to the portion of public comment. We'll start with the room in here first. If you would like to say a comment, please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes. And if you'd like to speak, you can come up to the podium.
My name is Cheryl McAfee. I live at 2005 Garrett Drive. I was on council years ago, and I just want to make sure that everybody on council has a copy of the borough code. Because some of the things you do, I think if you were reading the borough code, it might give you more insight into what you're doing. And the other thing, I came up here a few weeks ago and I was talking about something and I had asked for a copy of something that you had here, and the borough manager said that she couldn't make me a copy, which I was taken aback by that, because I've been through 3 or 4 borough managers and I don't know any of them that wouldn't make me a copy of something that you had here in these offices. We've always been a very friendly borough. And so that really kind of, I wasn't sure, what condition the borough was in if you couldn't make a copy for a citizen of 1 page. But at any rate, I'm just here to kind of observe, and it's good to meet everybody.
Great, thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
comment. Welcome. Do we have any other comments in the room?
Good evening. I just want to say hello to Ms. McAfee, who was a former colleague. I just want to say, Diane Law, 2326 Forest Drive. I'm new to saying that. I just wanted to say two things quickly. One is that I just want to mention that we had a holiday party the other night, the likes of which we have never had in this borough before. And I just want to thank our staff and particularly Deb and Greg and all of you. It was a wonderful event and I hope it goes on. It was an awful lot of work. So as a private citizen, I really appreciate that. The second issue is about the budget and the required tax. Having been on the council for 10.5 years, I know what is involved in trying to develop a very detailed budget, particularly at a time when we are pressed, and we're probably going to be more pressed. But this council's work on this budget this year has been phenomenal. I will tell you honestly that if I were still on the council, I would have been advocating for a larger tax increase. I think the fact that this council is not asking for a larger tax increase speaks to the level of commitment and the level of detail that the finance committee chaired by our vice president, Andy DiTillo, that it is an extraordinary work of art. And I would encourage all citizens to go online, to look at the budget in detail. If you have any additional questions, I'm sure the staff will be more than happy to answer you. But I just wanted to come tonight and say kudos to all of you. This has been quite an effort. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Diane. Any other public comments in the room?
I'm Charlie McAfee, 2005 Garrett Drive, Churchill. The reason I came was because I had heard about $287,000 missing from this budget. This may or may not be true, but I would like to have some comment on this. And if it's true, I'd like to know where the money went. If it's incompetence, or it could be theft. And if it isn't true, then I'd like to have my mind assuaged and there wouldn't be any more comments. And that's what I'm asking about. Is $287,000 missing? Is it not?
As chair of finance, and thank you for your comment, I really appreciate it. As chair of finance and somebody who works diligently with the staff, it is not missing. It's literally an accounting thing. It's the same amount of money. We know exactly where every bill is paid from, and we pay all bills out of general. So accounting wise, we say, okay, every bill over $5,000 has to be under capital. So we have to account for it under capital, but we pay it out of general. That being said, it's the same amount of money. Let's pretend $100 doesn't matter. We have to account for it over here and pay it out of here. It's the same amount of money. There's nothing missing. I know. We are luckily, this borough has checks and balances of Michelle, Ashley, me, and our vendor, Mount Lebanon. So there are 3 levels of checks and there is nothing missing. There's not a cent missing. So it's internal accounting more than anything. So the money is the same money. We know exactly per line item where it went and just got paid out of general versus capital because we don't write checks out of capital.
And I think Michelle did a really good job at explaining that in the budget presentation. I'm hopeful that can we post that budget presentation and share it with folks at home so that they're able to see those tiny details that we weren't able to see right in front of us right now. They're really hard to see. However, I think this is important to share, and I think you did a great job at explaining where that amount went.
Yes, thank you.
If I can, because I'm the one who made the comments last week. Again, I'm not accusing anyone of taking the funds. What I'm simply stating is that in regards to millage increase, how this conversation started, in regards to a millage increase, I'm not supporting a millage increase. Instead, I'm supporting in blue for better oversight of the funds already received from the taxpayers of this last year.
Brooke, I think this would be a good conversation to have in the when we get to the budget. I don't want to.
But you all
keep
just
going.
answered the resident question.
Okay.
And so you did a budget presentation, and being that we're doing this presentation in response to a comment that I made, I believe it's appropriate for me to provide additional context for those who are present and also those who are watching. Okay. So again, what I'm moving for is a better oversight of the funds already received from the taxpayers of this borough. Last year, December of 2023, the 2024 budget, this year's budget, was approved with a general government expense of $615,235.16. No transfer to the capital for this year was allocated in that budget. 10 months later, October of 2024, the general fund expense detail showed the total general government expenditures at $676,758.34, with a capital transfer of $85,862.17. Okay. November 12th of 2024, the general fund expense detail showed the general government expenditures now increased to $890,496.34, with a capital transfer of $285,862.17. Remember, the adopted budget for 2024 outlined the general government expenditures for 2024 to be approximately around $615,235.16. So by November 12th of 2024, the expenditures had exceeded that amount by $275,261.18. October, we were at 676, opposed to what we had projected of the 615,000. November 15th of 2024, I received a printout that said to from, and it basically provided a summation of the total amounts that were due to the sewage fund, the capital reserve fund, and also the gamble fund. There was no outline or detailed explanation regarding, like, the projects or departments or what had changed from October to November. November 22 of 2024, the general fund expense detail showed a total general government expenditure that now increased to $1.1 million with a capital transfer of $500,000. Now, all of these numbers that I'm providing to you are on a detailed spreadsheet that I have dated to show what it is that I'm referring to. It's not the same as the general summarized budget that we showed back at the beginning of November. So let's be clear. I am not aware, and you can, correct me if I'm speaking incorrectly, that we had an increase of $500,000 in revenues. As Valerie stated, we could take some from one line item to cover another line item if we have, an increase of excess revenue. As I stated last week, and I'm also going to double down on, I'm not accusing anyone of taking the money for their personal use. I'm not suggesting embezzlement of any kind. What I'm simply stating is that a budget, in my mind, is a guiding document. It is a yes or no tool that you use to measure the spending of the borough's funds. We've received, I don't know if each council member does, but I received a Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs monthly magazine. And in that magazine, it says budgeting and finance. The municipal budgeting process is one of the most essential elements of the municipal operation. A borough's budget serves as a planning document and authorizes spending that enables municipal services. Therefore, what you pass in the budget is what you're authorized to spend. Back to my original position, we need improved oversight from the managers, from budget and finance, which I am a member of, other members of council if they so choose, to ensure the funds that we already receive and are paid by taxpayers are in more alignment with the borough's budget and what we spend. It is unclear to me that requiring more tax dollars from the borough taxpayers is the answer. And so that's where I'm at with it. I'm not suggesting that someone took $285,000. What I'm stating is that what we passed in 2023 for the year of 2024, we passed a general expenditure of $615,000. The expense detail that I have dated November 22nd of 2024 shows that we are now, the general expense line is, give me a second when I pull this up. I have many spreadsheets, so please bear with me. And I brought all of these spreadsheets so that we can have. As of November 22nd, 2024, and this might have changed, but the spreadsheet that I have, the general government expenditures line item shows a 2024 projected year of end of 5,399,017 cents. And so that is double what we had passed in our budget for 2020.
So where did the $285,000 go? I understand.
I think the answer is that you can't see it, obviously, it's very small, but, there was, as Michelle had spoke earlier, the ADA bathroom, and which was approved in 2023, but we didn't get the bill until 2024. So that is $100,000 and some I can't remember.
I wanna go back to this, because we're getting into the minutia of things. Let's talk about this when we are motioning the budget in the discussion portion. I would agree with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on to, do we have any comments online? Do we have any comments? Please raise your hand, state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. I can't, yeah, we can't see on our end, by the way.
Kathy Borner to talk. Kathy, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Kathy Bordner, and I live at 1926 Hampstead Drive. First off, I want to thank you guys for having this discussion at this point of the meeting, and I'm glad to hear you're going to go into more detail later. But I think it's really healthy when you have people asking questions during public comment to then try to answer as best you can at that point. So I appreciate that. And I also, I raised my hand because I was hoping, I was going to ask you to make sure that those slides that Michelle showed on the screen, if you could somehow make those available so that those of us who are interested after the meeting can go back and look at them online, because we could not read them on the screen. And finally, I want to point out that I understand exactly what I get the issue that you know, the money was transferred. I think I understand it this way, to cover different things, and that those different things added up to that amount. And I think people are just asking, so what were those itemized different things, which you may cover later in the meeting? But I get exactly what Brooke is saying about how you write a budget expecting that this is what the funds you're going to have, and this is how they will be allocated. And then throughout the years, things happen. Maybe you don't have to spend as much, or maybe you have to spend more. And a financial report of some type that itemizes that is what I think people are looking for. And I think you also may provide that. I know I print off your agendas every month, and in many of your agendas, you have itemized information about the budget. And that information may be there to where we as citizens can look and see exactly what has been spent in the different categories. And so in my mind, a budget is one thing, but I think what people are now asking for is the itemized financial report on how things have been spent up to this point in the fiscal year. I hope that that makes sense, and I wish you all happy holidays. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
And so everybody does know, council does receive an itemized list in our binders. We also cover every single item during our finance committee meeting. Are there any other hands raised online?
Yes, Ken Volpe. Ken Volpe, please unmute yourself. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, thank you. Ken Balke, 2007 Hampstead Drive. I'm just calling to actually build on the comments that Diane Law made about the party on Friday. I attended the party and got to see Santa Claus and the tree lighting, and took advantage of cookies and hot chocolate. I was very impressed, and I wanted to publicly thank everybody who had a hand in putting that together. I think you created a very memorable evening, particularly for the children. And hopefully years from now, they'll remember coming to the Churchill Borough for their holiday party. So I just wanted to thank everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
It was a group effort, including most people here and members of the rec board who volunteered as well. So we appreciate your comments always, and it was nice to see you. Absolutely.
There's no one on.
All right, we'll give another minute. If you'd like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. You will be moved over to participants, and you would then be allowed to unmute yourself. All right, we will close public comment and we'll move on to our ordinary items for our meeting tonight. Number 4.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the November 4th, 2024 council workshop meeting and the November 12th, 2024 regular council meeting.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries on. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. The chief has reported to me that there were no significant incidents during the month of November 2024. Our officers handled a total of 861 events this month, 10,354 year-to-date, consisting of calls for service and proactive patrol engagements and details affecting 4 arrests. The department's 5 police vehicles logged a total of 4,804 miles. The combined year-to-date now total is 51,749 miles. The ticket summary for the month of November 2024 was 68, 0 non-traffic, 12 parking, and 56 traffic tickets. The magisterial fines for November 2024 were $653.13. The year-to-date total is $8,453.33. And I just lost my. Oh, there it is. The chief warns us that the transition into the cooler weather of the winter months, residents are reminded never to leave their vehicle running and unattended with the keys inside. Vehicle thefts increase significantly this time of the year as thieves sell for vehicles left running to warm up in the driveways, on the street, or in parking lots. Utilizing a spare key to warm the vehicle is also quite risky, as the thieves will commonly break a window to make entry. If your vehicle is not equipped with a remote start, it is the best practice not to leave your vehicle unattended and running. And chief also reminds us to please ensure that your vehicle is prepared to handle the winter driving conditions. The tires should have adequate tread and be properly inflated. Your fuel level should never drop below a quarter of a tank. Have your vehicle battery checked to make sure it has enough power for the cold starts. Many older batteries fail in freezing temperatures. All these are primary contributing factors to both disabled vehicles and vehicle crashes during the winter months. By law, drivers are required to remove the snow and ice from their vehicles before driving. The Borough ordinance dictates that it is the responsibility of all residents to clear the snow from all sidewalks and walkways within 24 hours after the snow ceases. And that's Borough Code Chapter 264, Article 2, and Chapter 264, Article 3 prohibits the shoveling of snow into the streets. Chief and the police department officers, along with borough officials, wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday. Please drive carefully. Details and other related statistics concerning the police department during the month of November 2024 are reported on the attached police department reports. Wishing all our residents and their families a very happy, healthy, and joyful holiday season. And one other note, this came up, the chief made me aware of this during this time of the year, and also all the time, residents are being scammed. We had a resident in our borough was scammed very deeply, never recover. So the bottom line is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't. So be aware of people emailing you, calling on a phone, sending you a letter. If you don't solicit it, be very careful where you go, because our police department had to handle that situation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Madam President, motion to accept the mayor's report for December 2024.
Second,
Any discussion?
I'll just add, Mr. Mayor, that, I know, occasionally I'll get emails from you asking us to go out and buy gift cards, so the scams are everywhere. Even through the borough email, and of course, it's always like, oh, I'm too busy to talk right now, and then I call Paul and he goes, I didn't send you any email, so yeah, be diligent. No, excuse me, yeah,
That seems to be a very popular scam. Don't give me some gift cards.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the mayor's report carries, and we'll move on to our treasurer's report.
Madam President, motion to accept the treasurer's report for November 30th, 2024, and directing the finance officer to pay the bills for the borough of Churchill accrued since November 13th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hot seconds here. Any discussion?
No, as always, I'll read the larger bills, but other than that, no. So Alphasan, $44,725.62. Jet Jack, $36,311.62. Gateway Engineers, $34,926. Solai Construction, $21,526.76. Bigliotti, $18,734. COSAC, something in wood.
Our financial audit service.
Yeah, financial audit services, $9,706.25. State Pipe, $9,574.14. Turtle Creek Valley Fog, $9,520. And JB Type Auto Service for the police cars and tires, $8,959.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. And moving on to our action item.
Perfect. Madam President, motion to adopt the 2025 Borough of Churchill General Fund Budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So,
You have two separate.
Okay.
Opposed?
no opposition, but when is yes, I am opposing the 1 mil increase.
That's the next
That's
one.
the next one. We're doing the budget. We're adopting a budget.
Right.
Those are two separate
Yes.
things. Do you have an opposed to the budget, or is that a yes?
I motion to accept, or I will vote yes to accept the budget for 25, yeah.
Great, so, all in favor, aye. Great. And no opposed. All right, moving on to, number 8.
Madam President, motion to adopt ordinance 776, amending section 276-46 of the Churchill Borough Code to levy the 2025 borough real estate tax rate of 1 mil.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. So, before I can even make a vote on this,
Mhm.
there are some things that we would discuss.
Mhm.
So, Diane, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it, first of all, the presentation that you did with the three of us newly incoming and perhaps not returning to, council. It was great to see an ex-council person come and sort of give us some tips and hints. And so now that we've got Ms. Cheryl McAbee, thank you for coming. Perhaps you can come and give us a presentation somewhat like Diane did as an council person. I think I'll put that out and talk to Michelle about doing that as well, so that we can get some tips from you on being new council members and some things that you could share with us, some of your knowledge of being on Churchill Borough Council. I would love to. Thank you. So second thing, well, one second, third, fourth thing is that, I'd like to thank our current person, dear lady, Vice President, on putting the budget together. One of the things that I did get out of our workshop meeting was that there was a problem perhaps with the coding that we used to use. And that now that you're in that seat, that the coding moving forward for 2025, yes, will be changing. So that may have been part of the problem, as Brooke was saying, things were moved here, there, and there. And so that's number one. Number two is, we just read the, let me get back to that page. We did the treasurer's report, to do the bills in the larger bill. So 2024, and I'm new to council, so I always ask questions and I always stand to be corrected. So when we have an overrun of money, say 20,000, the way you explained it to me last week, President was very beautiful. So we have $20,000 that was taken from this budget and moved somewhere else. If we're using that, is there some type of way that we can put in the council and perhaps everyone else can know that that money came from and we are using it now? So that it can be clarified, so that we don't have things like this, as Brooke was saying, or Councilwoman Brooke was saying, that it was moved from here or there, as we were saying, moved from, things weren't moved from, it was due to, and Michelle did a beautiful explanation in that. How can we make sure that the public knows that, and that council knows that, and that, I know it doesn't come up for a vote for us to say that, because it's there, but I think that the explanations of that, and now that you've changed the code, that we can all get a better understanding of that, so that it doesn't look like money was misappropriated. It doesn't look like money was moved from here to there. So that is what I'd like to say on that part of that.
I'm also on the finance committee, and if I could speak to that, I'm wondering if it would be beneficial and useful for the finance committee members to meet with staff and say, what is feasible? Well, how can we show that?
Correct.
Right? And maybe that's something that we're having conversations with Mount Lebanon, like, hey, it's something that they can do on there, and to help us too, to clarify that, or not clarify, but provide a more detailed explanation. I think would be worth having that conversation and the committee as the new year starts to start off the new year that way.
Absolutely, and as was mentioned, we switched accounting firms basically. And
Okay.
so the coding was changed, and it's now appropriately where it should be at. So if, let's pretend we could something 1, 2, 3, 4, but it should have been 1, 2, 3, 5, it's now at 1, 2, 3, 5. So the money is the same amount of money, but it just is a different line item.
Right.
So we are now going forward, and there's growing pains, obviously. Anytime you switch anything, there's some growing pains. But I truly believe that Mount Lebanon has done a great job with us. And I truly believe, like, okay, the police, this is their paper budget, versus it's going to the borough staff budget. And we can say, okay, police spent $100 on paper, and you guys spent $1,000 on paper. It's still the same $1,100, but it's coded to the correct department.
Exactly.
So that is something we've definitely worked on. And we're absolutely completely transparent here. We're glad to share anything with anybody.
I just want to make sure that it's feasible for staff to be able to show that, and like, what is that gonna take?
And I think for council members though, if you go into the detailed treasurer's report that we get every month, every line item is listed, and if there's overages or underages, or unders, Ashley will put a comment saying like, hey, we spent more on rock salt this year because the winter's been harder than we had budgeted, and here's where we're at. Or our tax revenue is down on this particular collection for permits because there hasn't been as many building permits. So I see all that detail. I think everyone's getting those detailed treasurer reports.
We are. Getting the detailed treasury reports, we're not asking that question. We're asking that question is if it was over or under and it moved. I want to see where it went to. Now, does the treasury report say where it went to?
So we
Specifically, yes.
Thank you.
yes, it does. So you'll see, for example, let's pretend if a project was $20,000, but we only paid $17,000 for it. Okay, but unfortunately, we had a sinkhole. Sinkhole Fridays. I'm not joking, there were sinkhole Fridays. There was really sinkhole Fridays. So, okay, we have an extra $3,000 here, and then instead of hitting ourselves somewhere else, we had that extra three, you can see that moved there. We really get into the nitty gritty of it. If there's a feasible way that would be non-burdensome to everybody,
Yes.
that we can show the larger ones.
Thank you.
Yeah, the larger ones, I will.
So that's simply what we're asking. Show it. And
Yes.
it's okay. You get what we're saying, but I like the way you said it better. And then that way we'll be able to better explain that to our constituents that have a problem with, where did that go? Oh, excuse me, it went over there. Let's just be very transparent with it so that if it ever comes up again, as well as you can see it for yourselves, but we're able to explain it. All I get is get an understanding. So thank you for that understanding.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to clarify, the treasurer report that we get on a monthly basis shows the line item, and also the coding. So for an example, under, let's say, general government expense, it'll say IT professional services, and it'll say 407,310. And it'll show what we budgeted for. It'll show year to date to give you a figure on where we are year to date, and then it will show you a percentage. 10% of the budget was used year to date, or 91% of the budget was used year to date, or 126% of the budget was used year to date. What I am talking about is that when we passed the budget last December for 2024, there was a general understanding that our general government expenditures would be $615,000, give or take. Okay. When I received the general expense detailed sheet, it showed that the year to date was an additional $285,000. November 12th detail sheet, expenditure detail sheet, showed that there was a transfer of $285,862.17 to the capital reserve. When we passed the budget for 2024, there was no transfer outlined in that budget. If we knew that the ADA lockers or the female locker room or the ADA bathroom, there was still going to be some outstanding funds due in 2024. When we passed the budget for 2024, we should have outlined that in the budget, and we did not.
Yes.
We outlined $615,000 and $615,235.16. November of 2022, when I looked at the expense detailed sheet, it showed a transfer, a proposed transfer of $500,000 at that. Whether that transfer happened or whether or not we're saying that we're going to be making the transfer by the end of the year, that is way more than what we were supposed to transfer to the capital reserve fund, because there was supposed to be no transfer to the capital. October of 2024, the transfer that was outlined was $85,000 and some change. November, it went to $285,000. Beginning of November, it went to $285,000. November 22nd of 2024, it then went to $500,000. So the question is, and I asked this question in our budget and finance meeting, why was there an increase from $85,000 to $285,000 to $500,000? What projects did we approve that I was not aware of, that required us to transfer from the general fund to the capital fund to pay for those things? That is a question. And if I approved it during the monthly motions, I was not aware until October that there was a transfer that was needed to the capital. And then in November, I was made aware of the amount of the transfer that was needed to the capital, is what I'm saying. I'm not accusing Michelle or Ashley or anyone on council of taking any money or funds, to be, taken from Churchill and used for their own personal gain. What I'm saying is that when we pass a budget, we need to ensure that the borough's spending is in alignment with that budget. If we're going to be spending more, then we need to cover that in the budget, and we need to explain why we're spending more. That's it. That's what I was stating last week. And talking about coding, when we look at the treasurer's report and we see, as I've mentioned before, where it'll say IT subscription, we budgeted $2,000. This is not what we budgeted. This is just an example. And year to date, we spent $4,000. And then you say, I asked the question, well, how is it that we doubled that expenditure? And you say to me, well, there's some coding issues. Some of the money shouldn't have been in IT. It should have been, someplace else. That's a coding issue. When we're talking about transferring to the capital from the general fund in that large amount, that's not coding. It's funds that were spent that go above what we approved when we passed the budget for the year, is what I'm saying.
Michelle, please speak up.
Yeah, so I will state that I believe it was in 2022, council passed a resolution for fund balance policy.
Right.
So
18%. 18%.
Yes. So we did have over the 18% at the beginning of the year for 2024. So there was an automatic transfer that was not in the budget, but because of the resolution that was adopted, we did have to transfer funds at that time. Half of it did go to our capital fund, and then we have a capital reserve additionally. So that was split between the two different funds at that time. And then the amount that is allocated at the end, that is not a set in stone. That was a possible ending balance. That transfer has not been made. What you're seeing at the year-to-date that is provided is what has been done year-to-date. And I can look up the actual number, but it's important to note that these budget documents do change regularly. So if you were provided it November or whatever it might be, it was changing after that time as well. And I am looking at the capital.
I think that
So our year to date for capital has only been what our fund balance policy was.
okay, so, and what was,
I haven't updated for December,
okay, so what was the
85.
the 85? Okay, so did you provide me the general fund expenditures, expense detail? Is that something that you have provided to me during our budget and finance meeting? Or is it something that I create on my own?
The expenditure detail for, I believe I provide the general revenue, general expenditure, road and highway, sewage, capital.
Right, okay. And so on the expenditure detail that you provided to me on the 22nd, these are numbers that I received from you of the $285,000.
So at the beginning of that column, that is a projected number. That is if money needed to go and get transferred to the capital to cover whatever emergencies we might have. We did have some of those emergencies, so that is just projected. That is nothing that has been transferred. But that was a placeholder.
Okay, what I know is October of 2024, you provided me with an expense detail that showed a transfer from the general to the capital of $85,000. November
Projected.
12th.
The 85 was part of the fund balance policy.
The 18%.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I know on November 12th, I was provided an expense detail, which is like an Excel spreadsheet for those who are listening or trying to follow along, that stated that the funds from the general that would be transferred to the capital now were $285,862.17. 10 days later,
From.
10 days later, I received another general fund expenditure detail sheet that stated that it would now be $500,000. So what I'm basically saying is that when we go back to the taxpayers to say we're increasing the millage because we need to do this project, that project, and we need the funds. If we were staying more in alignment with the budgets that we have, I believe we would have the money to do the work that's necessary. Opposed to passing a budget and then at the end of the year, spending $285,000 more. Yeah, I think that's.
So I'd like to comment because I just pulled up the treasurer's report ending November 30th. We passed a total budget in 2024. I pulled it up from the website, our adopted budget. General fund income category was $3,258,500. General fund expense category $3,238,245, right? I pulled up the treasurer's report or the report here. So our total expenditures for the year for everything together were at approximately 85% of plan, $2,777,000 or $677. So we're about 85%. And our revenue, we scroll up to it, was projected for the year to be a total, our budget was $3,258,000, and currently we're at 101% of revenue. We're ahead on revenue at $3,313,756.94. So to say that we're not meeting plan or that we're going back to the residents asking for more money because we're not following our budget, we are. We're under on expenses. We're coming in slightly ahead on revenue. And those numbers aren't keeping up with inflation, with the cost of services, and keeping up with the prices that we have to pay to provide policing, emergency services, road paving, all of the other things. So I'm not sure where the confusion is, but I look at it on the whole thing. We budgeted $3.2 million. We're coming in under that expense. We're coming in slightly ahead of revenue. I would say that we're managing everything the way it's supposed to be managed.
What I can tell you is that this expense records that I have, or the expense detail spreadsheet that I have, goes line by line, and it provides the departments. It also provides what the expenses are for those departments. And I can simply say that under the general government expenditures, there's a transfer to the capital fund that was not anticipated previously. And that's where I'm at. I'm not going to continue to go back and forth about it. I have the expense records. Anyone who wants to see them, the expense records that I was provided, I can show you those things against what you have on your laptop, Matt, and then, go from there. So that's just where I'm at with it.
So a quick question then, just to be clear, do you believe that there's $285,000 that's missing from borough funds, as you stated in the workshop meeting last week? Yes or no?
I don't believe that the money is missing. What I believe is that we overspent.
Okay, but we just talked about that we're under our planned
But I can
expenses
tell you.
at 85%. And so Ashley, is that accurate, that the report that came out?
That is.
Okay, so I don't understand what we're talking about. If our plan says we are under our expenses for the year, 85%, that's good. We'll probably be up to 90 or 95% by the time December's over. We're 101% of revenue. Always great to have a little bit more than we anticipated because we're conservative when we budget. It sounds like the finance committee's done excellent work.
So you're saying that we are under budget for 2024?
Currently, as of
Currently,
November.
as of November 30th, because that
Yeah.
doesn't reflect the December expenses yet.
So now.
It will still come through in
Yeah.
December and January for December.
So we're saying then that, our line items for 2025 have increased or will be increased?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, every
So-
service will go up, absolutely.
Yes, and then if our transfer over, so it kind of almost sounds like, and I'm gonna say it sounds like if we have something left over from 2024, everything is increasing. Right, and then the end of 2025, we will be less. I believe that's that's somewhere.
Yes.
And can you give that?
So the answer, again, the answer is as you know, all know, and everything costs more. Everything costs more. If you go to the grocery store, you have a small panic attack when you buy 2 bags of groceries, right? So imagine that on a borough level, and because services cost more,
Yeah.
actual asphalt costs more, salt costs more. Obviously, we're giving raises because that's what you should do with everything.
County reassessment.
The county reassessment, thank you. Yes.
Shirley, and on here, it's the general fund budget, it says what the expected for the 1 mil increase.
Mhm.
What it would be, the revenue, the expected revenue and the expected expenditures, and then what that difference is.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
Oh, I
Yes.
can read.
Like,
Thank you. For those that are listening,
yes.
they would like to hear, because if I'm sitting at home, I have been online. I've been out a few months and I have been online, so I hear. And so when I hear, Matt saying, we came in under budget for 2024,
Yeah.
and then I hear, on the other end, but we did something else. And so for 2025, if we're going to need the 1 mil increase, I'm a resident, I don't have a problem paying that one, but tell me where that one is going. It's going because of what you said.
Exactly.
Not because you're saying we came under budget, she's saying that this is what it's gonna look like. Somebody at home may not have pulled this up, and even those here may not even be looking at this. But for her to speak it verbally out of her mouth is what I want to hear. I'm sure that's what our constituents want to hear. Diane is smiling like, yes, girl, go ahead. Thank you, Andrew. So now, that cost again, thank you also, Valerie, for that explanation. Please tell our constituents what we have, what we're asking for, and how much that's going up. Thank you.
Exactly, and we've gone through, we had a budget presentation at 1.5 mil, and thank you for everyone who came, and thank you for everyone who put it on.
Next year.
And it was our first one, and we're learning, and we're trying to do better. Our goal is always to be transparent, and I just believe that, as I try to basically say, is that everything goes up, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, we live in an older borough. We can't budget for a sinkhole that we didn't know was gonna happen, You can't say, ooh, oh no, a $36,000 sinkhole just came up on a Friday, sinkhole Fridays. That's why we have to have a little bit of a rainy day fund, just so we can pay for things. Our goal on council, at least everyone I know here, is to make sure that you have a safe, loving community. And without having any money in the back end, if something breaks or something happens, we can't have that. And we have to continue paving projects. We have to get ahead, because the longer you delay things, it's gonna cost more in the end. So really that the 1 mil is to cover the extra cost of life going up in price, and also being able to continue offering the same high expectation of service that we offer. And I appreciate Ralph, I appreciate Ron, I appreciate everybody here, Denny. You're not Gavin, but you wouldn't be Gavin. Not Gavin, but because we really, that's our goal, and I don't want to pay more. I know nobody wants to pay more, but you have Allegheny County doing the reassessments, you have all these things that we have to try to guess and factor in. So we have to have something to pay for it, and that is the only reason it's a 1 mil.
And thank you for the 1 mil.
Right, I want to say a couple comments. One of my comments is I think staff do a really good job at projecting what things may be, right? We have vendors. We're asking vendors in May and June and July, what do you think your prices may be next year? That's hard to do. As a vendor itself, like I'm not sure how much things are gonna cost. So staff do a really good job at putting in those numbers. Sometimes they do change. And October from November, those numbers are going to change as we get closer to the end of the year. As anything happens. So I did want to make a comment on that. And the budget, we did discuss a 1.5 and how that would still be tight, right? With a 1.5.
But we also understood that Allegheny County is raising their tax.
Yeah. So we understood that other things are happening, and we have a lot of our residents are on a fixed income. So how would a 1.5 impact somebody that is on a fixed income? So these are all of the things that are thought about. I think the finance committee did a really great job of going over the numbers. I know you all had meetings that were 2, 3, 4 hours long, multiple times in a month. And that's a lot of hard work for anybody. Most of the people here have lives outside of here and have families and jobs. So that is a really big commitment. So thank you for for doing that for this borough. We've been talking about this budget for a very long time. This isn't something new. Our goal is to always be transparent with our constituents. And I think that we have done a really, really good job at that. So thank you to the members and thank you specifically to the staff, Michelle and Ashley, for all of your commitment and transparency and communication throughout this entire process. So thank you.
I'd like to say one more comment.
Yeah.
I know that it had been concerned that perhaps we didn't advertise enough to have more people during the presentation for the budget. There were 3 people that showed up, and so we recognize where we fall short and making sure that we do outreach and we'll do it better. You know, we did mention to them, we will do better. We will do better to make sure that residents get the information of when the 2026 budget comes, and we can try to do that early enough. We're gonna look into ways of the way people want to be contacted to find out these things so that we can reach them in a better way to make sure that you're on, you know, the residents are on top of it and not at the last minute when we're sitting at the table ready to make a vote. So
Can I
I
say
do
something about
apologize
that
for
though? I am the chair of the communications
Yes.
committee. Ashley and Jacob, our intern, were diligent. They publicized it on Savvy Citizen. They publicized it on Facebook, our own website. I mean, we publicized it on every social media we could.
I'll send an email.
Mayor.
pardon me?
The mayor sent
The
it.
mayor sent it, right, mayor sends emails out to hundreds of people. We mentioned it in our meetings. We did everything we could possibly do. I don't want people to get the impression that we just threw this together in a few days and then, oh, only 2 people showed up. I mean, I don't know, maybe people aren't that interested in it. Now, sure, if we could mail out mailers, that would be fantastic. But that costs over, I mean, we looked into it. It's $1,200 just to send a mailer out. We don't have that kind of money in our budget. We're a small borough with no revenue except, you know, what we get from the taxpayers and like one little gas station, you know? So, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I was disappointed more people didn't show up. But Ashley couldn't have done a better job promoting it as much as we possibly could. I just wonder if maybe that many people or most people just, not that they're not interested, but they're not gonna make the commitment to come in here. Yeah.
And I think also to note to that point is, it was recorded and people did know that.
Right.
So I think people were like, oh, you know what, this isn't convenient for me to
Right.
watch tonight. I'll just watch it at my own pace
Right,
tomorrow.
with my sweatpants on and it's getting cold out.
And there's no way for us to collect the data of like, who they watched it afterwards
Right.
or not, so.
Can I ask one final question? In regards to line number 492032, transfer to capital, how much are we transferring for 2024?
So in the document, and I discussed that in the PowerPoint as of right now, there is negative 164 with the capital. So.
We'll have to wait till the,
Our year-end budget or our invoices.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I'm seeing 164, however, we haven't gotten all the invoices yet for capital.
Okay. And where did we calculate the $285,000?
That was in the projected year end. That was just the number that I was putting in to see what could comfortably fit for a projected year end.
I know, Bev and Greg, I wasn't sure if you had any other comments or moving forward.
I have no comment.
Okay. Great, thank you. I feel like we discussed this pretty well. And the motion is on the floor. There was a second and discussion. So now do we have to do a roll call vote on this? Yeah.
You can,
Yeah,
it's probably better to do that,
right.
yeah. Can you just remind, since it's been a long discussion?
Job, for one no and great, so that's it.
Thank you. And then, roll call, yes, please.
President Valerie Reinfeller,
Yes.
President Andrew DeFillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller.
Yes.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein.
Yes,
Councilmember Greg Bogdanovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke Bouchette Williams.
No.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Forget that, I need water. Madam President, motion to adopt ordinance 777, amending section 246-56 of the Churchill Code to establish the 2025 sanitary sewer usage surcharge fee at $2 per thousand of gallons.
You mean 1050 per?
Yeah, 10, yeah, I don't have, yeah, those extra two, yes, so 10, thank you.
Second.
Any discussion?
So just as a reminder, yes, as Andrew said, currently it's set at 850 per 1,000 gallons. It will be, if it passes, it would go up to 1050 per 1,000 gallons. So for an average household in Churchill, it's using, between 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of water a month. You're looking at, what, a $6 to $8 per month increase?
Yes.
And that is to specifically for the sewage fund, for the pipes that carry the wastewater under the roof.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Matt.
Just to say that Alcostan has increased their fees by 7%, which is motivating and putting pressure on the local municipality to also increase their sewage fees to be able to meet the requirement that Alcostan has set for us to provide dollar-wise to them. And that is why there is an increase request of $10.50 at this time for the sewage fund.
Any other discussion? We'll roll call this one as well.
President Valerie Reinfeller.
Yes.
Vice President Andrew.
Yes.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller.
Yes.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Greg Tradanovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams.
Regrettably, but yes.
Moving on to number 10. And a motion passes, sorry.
Madam President, I motion to adopt resolution 4618 enumerating non-union salaries and pay rates for 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
If we can read what those non-union salaries are and the commission.
We read them out at the workshop meeting, and it's gonna be a 3.5% on those. Okay. Any other discussion?
Is there something against reading them a second time?
I don't think there's any reason to do.
Yeah, we already
Already did it.
we already did it in
Right.
public. It's in people, if they wanna look up the specific salaries, it's in the budget. If they wanna go watch it, we're more than welcome to look that over. It's 3.5%.
Too repetitive.
Any other discussion?
How many non-union salary people do we have?
It is.
Michelle, Ashley.
Myself, Ash,
Thank you, Ralph.
Ralph, Scott, and the chief.
It's
Yeah. We'll have 4.
Then if we have an intern as well, they would be on that.
So those are our non-union.
correct. Yeah,
That's
it's
3.5.
staff.
It's a
Staff.
Yeah.
Staff.
Yeah, thank you. Here you go. Thank you.
We'll roll call this one as well.
President Valerie Reinfeller.
Yes.
Vice President Andrew Patillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Yes.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller.
Yes.
Councilmember Deb Cassini Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Greg Tradanovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams.
Waiting for you.
Well, I'm allowed to take my time.
Okay, go ahead.
The answer is going to be yes.
Thank you. Moving on to our next one. 11.
Motion to authorize the borough manager to advertise the 2025 meeting schedule. Thank you, sir.
You were being
Thank
safe. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone have a second?
Second, for me, so yes, second.
Any discussion on the meeting schedule?
So just as a reminder to our residents, I'll say that, part of our discussion was that we typically have lower attendance during our summer meetings, as well as a lot going on. I think families are traveling and not out of town, so we will be having one meeting only that month for, what is it?
Those months.
June, July, August, and September, I think.
September.
Yeah, so June, July, August, and September, we'll only have one meeting instead of 2 separate meetings.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
I would like to know,
your committees are still meeting.
yes, the committee meetings are still happening in that time, and also, this is very customary, a lot of boroughs and municipalities only do meet once a month. We just happen to do workshop and regular, so this isn't anything out of the ordinary. We just wanna offer that flexibility for our residents that, you know, in the summer months, things are slower, people are traveling, kids, you know, are out of school, the sun stays out longer, so people are outside doing things, so we just want to, do one meeting a month for those months, for our staff, our residents. The work is still being done, no work is changing, it's just one last meeting.
And they're both gonna be the same thing, correct?
Yeah, we'll do the workshop and the regular meeting on the same day, one time a month, and as per, for borough code states, we do have to have one meeting a month, and we will be fulfilling that duty.
If there is something that comes up that's pressing, that
Yes.
council does need to address, we can call it that.
Yeah.
Which many municipalities only do it once a month.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not required to do it.
No, it was called special meetings for when we did like police contracts and other things. I just want to make sure the residents know that this isn't out of the ordinary.
Right, thank you.
And we did discuss in our management and government committee, we'll try this out for this year, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And we'll make the changes. And if it does work, we're gonna have more conversations. So yeah, I did want to state that as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. And moving on to number 12.
Madam President, motion to adopt resolution 4617, authorizing a grant application to be made to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, which is the DCED, for the PA Gaming Statewide Local Share Grant Program.
Second,
Any discussion, sorry.
I know we talked about this, during the workshop, but, council with this motion is, submitting a resolution to the DCED, with their local shares grant, the LSA grant, in the amount of $537,000, I believe, and a lot of it would go towards paving, but not until 2026.
And we've said this before, when we apply for grants, let's say we'll apply them for this year. We won't find out until this time the following year, which means that we won't be able to do it for the following year. So it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort on our staff to purposely plan for projects like this in the future, which I think is important and good to know that the staff and Ralph, as well as our engineer, have been able to propose future plans 2 years out. So that's really important and valuable to our borough. Any other discussion?
Thank you for doing it. We appreciate it. It's a lot of work.
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 13.
Madam President, motion to adopt resolution 4619, authorizing a grant application to be made to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for the municipal opportunities for retrofits and energy efficiency, which is MORE program.
Second,
Any discussion?
Yeah, so with this resolution, we were actually already awarded the grant. This is an amount of $50,000. This would go towards a energy audit in the borough building, and then with that, they would recommend energy efficiencies that need to be updated, such as like the windows and the boiler, or various things.
Thank you, Michelle, for the great news we just found out not too long ago. I would like to know that you mentioned the windows. The windows are original windows in this building. So as we're sitting here, it is very cold and drafty at times, or it's really hot and we're sweating. 1972.
I think I am.
So just thought I would throw that out there for people to know. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? And it carries. And moving on to number 14.
Madam President, motion to elect option year 3 of the contract with Dead Jack Incorporated for point repair and maintenance, pole lining services.
Second.
Any discussion?
Don't steal my second.
I don't know. Be nice. It's the end of the year.
As, I do have comment on that, as being, part or chair of the infrastructure committee and, working with Matt and Greg, we will, we'll be looking more into, working with, good staff.
Yeah.
And looking at ways that we can like save money and do things in the coming 2025 year. Because as you say, we have pothole Fridays.
Single Friday.
Single Fridays,
Yeah,
different things and stuff. It's been great working on the infrastructure committee and actually seeing where this money goes and how it's done. And so part of that, we were able to bring something in, which was great. So I still look forward to working with you guys moving forward and working with Gateway and getting some more information and bringing some of those old council members back, Diane and Ms. Cheryl back and giving us your expertise on things so that we can, make it a better borough and those that we hire, those contractors that we use.
Thank you for your work on that committee.
Oh, thank you. And great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 15.
Madam President, motion to elect option year 3 of the contract with Solai Construction Incorporated for sanitary sewer related excavation services.
Second. Wait for you. I gave you a second.
Seems like you want.
I was waiting. I was waiting. Any discussion on that?
Again, this is another one of the infrastructure pieces, and it's great to sit in our meetings and see what happens in sewer lines and different things. And so it's just great, and I can see where, money is going and how the money goes to that. So
Thank you.
Well, and I'd like to comment and just follow up and say, I appreciate Gateway's work and Cheryl Lee is committee chair that, we have this opportunity to renew a contract with a good contractor, right? We could always say, no, we're not going to and rebid it, but when we find a good contractor, I know Solai's worked in the borough for quite some time, provided excellent service as well as Jet Jack. So, it's great when we can find excellent vendors and continue to work with them.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. I think that's a good point to make, that communication piece. It's not just what work can they do, but also that communication piece to our staff. Important. All right, if there's no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. And moving on to number 16.
Madam President, I would motion to appoint Timothy Finnerty to the zoning hearing board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll just mention, I believe he's serving and has agreed to serve again. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we appreciate all our residents that would take the time to serve in, any of these boards and, to serve our community.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries.
Madam President, I would motion to appoint Joyce Welch to the Civil Service Commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2030.
Second.
Any discussion?
So Matt said, thank you for everyone who actually does this. It's a lot of work. It's a volunteer position and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 18.
Madam President, I motion to appoint Marty Barron, Sharon Parati, and Michael O'Brien to the Recreation Board for terms to expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, maybe our mayor would like to say a few words about the rec board. I know I'm part of the rec board, but it's such a wonderful group of people who work so hard, and our mayor comes to almost all of our meetings just to observe and help out. And you might want to.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. I know the rep works very hard to pull all the things they do together, especially the community day each year. They're working on it now for community day next August. And the things that are coming up, we get the Santa things coming up on this coming Saturday. Easter Bunny will be riding around again in the borough. We have a lot of things coming up. Those people just work really hard on the report. They help, a lot of help. Sharon and Nikki, Deb was there, and who else was on it to pull the light up night that we had on last Friday, which was for our first one, in my opinion, was a very successful event.
They also put on the Churchill dinner.
The Churchill dinner, we celebrated our 90th
Yeah.
Anniversary this year. So they do put a lot of work into it, and for, you know, just to have the residents come together.
Quite honestly, you're talking about the community day. Community days in August. We start working on it in September for next
Right.
year already. But, you know, and Joe Kozolnicki, who is our chair, he just does a fantastic job with Michael O'Brien and the whole group. So, I mean, just kind of a shout. Thank you. Thank you. They really make our
They do
community
meet,
special.
They meet monthly.
Oh, yeah, we meet monthly. Yep.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 19.
Madam President, motion to appoint Ken Balke and Natalie Boydston to the Tree Committee for terms to expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you again for your service.
Thank you, Ken and Natalie. All in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 20.
Madam President, motion to appoint Cheryl McAbee and Nancy Fair to the Human Relations Commission for terms to expire on December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Just thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to our staff and support team reports and their discussion items. And we will start with our engineer.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't have much for this evening. Just want to report that all construction for both paving and the sewer projects is completed for the year. We do look forward with working with the infrastructure committee and staff to work on establishing the projects for next year as we've begun the design of the project.
Thank you, Dan.
Any other stuff?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. For the month of November, we had 39 calls. We're at 466 for the year. We had a couple of significant calls. We had a kitchen fire up on Greensburg Pike on the Forest Hill side. We had a rollover on the Ardmore with entrapment. We had to cut a guy out. And then we had a microwave fire on Garrick Drive. And we had a accident on the Parkway. We had to cut somebody out. That's on the fire side. On the public works side, I remind people, please do not park on the street when it is snowing. And please, I got a phone call 20 minutes after it started snowing from a resident asking me when the salt truck was going to be there. Be patient. We salt every road before we leave. We make sure every road is salted, it is clean, it's curb to curb before we leave. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you for everything you do.
Can I,
Great job.
I just want to clarify a couple or add real quick, Ralph. So for any residents who maybe are joining us for the first time and don't know, Ralph is our public works director, but he is also our volunteer chief of our fire company as well. So he was giving kind of reports on both there. And I will make a plug for the volunteer fire company that for those that don't know, or maybe it's the first time you're hearing this, but the fire service that, you know, we have here in Churchill is volunteer. It's folks that put their time and effort in, just like we were talking about all the boards that people serve on. These are dedicated men and women who go out and help people, right? In some of their darkest hours, car crashes, fires, you know, all these other things, cutting people out of vehicles, and they serve selflessly. So, you know, first of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and from all of Churchill. The other thing I'd like to say though is being that they're volunteer, they are not paid, and part of how they do their fundraising is typically if you're a Churchill resident, you'll get a mailer asking, you know, if you'd like to donate a small amount. year end, you may want to have extra tax, giving. You can go onto the website, churchillfire.org, I believe, and make donations to the end of the year if you're interested.
Thank you for that one.
Thank you.
Chief,
Just very briefly, I wanted to sincerely thank everybody who took the time to donate to the Stuff a Store on Toy Drive. The box is full this year as it was last year, so I'll be donating those toys tomorrow. Our event is this Sunday. And then the following Sunday, the 22nd, will be the 7th annual Blue Santa Toy Drive that we do in conjunction with some of the local police departments. That's more of a localized event. This year we'll be up at Woodland Hills High School.
is it too late to bring a toy if they brought it in tomorrow morning, or is it?
No, I'll make sure it gets to
Okay.
we usually put the end date of the week before we distribute them. We
Right.
give, there's usually over 10,000 gifts that get donated from
Wow.
several resources, so there's a lot of staff working almost 24 hours a day at the mall to wrap up.
No, okay, so somebody could bring a toy in tomorrow.
Right, yeah, and I'll make sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, when is the, last year you had up at the Monroe Mall? What is the date and time of that again?
So that'll be next Sunday,
15th?
the 15th, right? And then that's at 9 AM, and that's open to the public, and that's also covered by local news media. The following Sunday is 11 AM to 1 PM at Woodland Hills High School this year for the Blue Santa.
Following Sunday.
Yeah, that's a first come, first serve, for high school.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Staff,
I would just like to thank council for your kind words, your leadership, and just respecting Michelle and I as well as process and this entire year.
thank you. Michelle?
Yeah, I'd like to also thank council. It's been a year since I've been manager, and I've really enjoyed this experience and working with the residents, working with council as well, to do what Ashley and I can do to make sure that the residents receive the best service and we're protecting people and property, which is our mission. We really strive to look at that. Also, the budget narrative will be coming out soon. Ashley and Jacob have been working on that very diligently. So we'll be sure to share that with council and residents.
Thank you. I'll go down the line of council and I will, save my comment for last. Matt,
Sure,
if
first,
you have any, you don't have to.
I appreciate our staff, including like I said, our firefighters, our police, all of our public works, our borough staff, internal in the office. Your continued dedication and support shows every day, and it's blessed. Truly, I'm blessed to live in such a wonderful community with hardworking folks. Wish everyone a happy, holiday season, great New Year. And then I did have one additional comment. So, and specifically, this is for Brooke. So your comments caused quite a commotion after the meeting last week, with several residents calling throughout the week to ask about missing borough funds as well as news agencies. I reached out to you on email on Wednesday for clarification on your statements, as I was concerned about the situation. Further, I followed up on Teams on Friday, letting you know I was looking for your help to understand the situation and comments. And finally, I tried to call you on Saturday and left a voicemail. Given all of my efforts to reach you, I didn't receive any response. I recall when individuals who applied for open council seats were being interviewed, they were asked what their preferred method of communication was. So I'd like to ask what your preferred contact method is to receive a timely response.
So Matt, your email to me, was not pleasant. And so I did not respond, because any question that you have regarding the budget or counting of the budget or line items can be directed to the borough manager, because the borough manager will provide the budget. I provided my comments today for all of the council members to be present during the communication about the budget. I don't like to have siloed conversations with individual council members, because things get lost in translation, opposed to having a conversation where all council members are present to answer any questions you may have about my stance. Regarding the missing funds, as I stated last week and I stated again today, is that I'm not accusing anyone of taking any funds. What I'm simply stating is that what we budgeted we spent more than what we budgeted for 2024.
He's not talking about that. He wants to know why you can't respond to.
All right, yeah, we're not gonna go back and forth. We're not doing this back and forth. I'm sorry. This is,
Back to the budget.
we're not going back to the budget. We already discussed that. I do not want to do it back and forth. It is not appropriate. We're at this time talking about closing comments.
And in regards.
That is it. And he asked what your preferred method of communication was. There was not answered.
Max could say what there's not even be. Oh, he ran for a council seat. He was not elected for council, and then y'all approved the appointment process to be, to fill a vacancy. I can go into further detail on a personal conversation that I had with Matt last year, but I'm not gonna do that because it's just gonna create too much drama. So
We
again,
don't want
any
drama.
questions that you have for me, my preferred method of communication is to ask me when all council members are present.
So if we email you and CC all council members, would that be,
Available,
sufficient enough?
I'm available to speak with all council members during the workshop meeting. You're welcome to attend the budget and finance meeting.
But we
And I'm
can't
also
email or contact you any other time. I just want to be clear.
Deb can see, the way you're talking to me now, no, you can
Okay.
contact me.
Well, can I just say one thing? I would say this past year, I can't tell you, anytime I've ever emailed you about, I mean, nothing contentious or anything, or text, I even sent you a picture once of your kids, how cute they were at the Easter Bunny parade, and I don't even get a response to
The
that.
way that
You
speak
respond
to
to
me,
nothing. You
the way
respond
that
to nothing. You just.
All right, I'm sorry, we're done. We're moving on. We're moving on. Shirley, can you please have your and thank you.
I communicate.
I said we're moving on to the next person. Thank you. Thank you. No, we're moving on. Shirley, I would please have.
Diane Law.
To speak.
No, absolutely not.
Diane.
No.
I would like to thank you so very much for the presentation that you did, and calling, Matt, myself and Greg in. I thought that was so appropriate, though I had to leave. And it addresses this moment very clearly. Cheryl, I would love for you to come and sit with us, and I want lunch when you come. Because there was a lunch provided, but I couldn't stay. What you delivered in that, Diane, is so prevalent to what's, what we're working with. Cheryl, I'm so sure that you're going to bring us some wonderful things and information. People that used to work on council and some of the financial things. I look forward to picking your brain. And I'm sure Matt and Greg is new on council as well. Greg and I look forward to picking your brain, since Matt seems to, we have to tone him down a little bit, but.
I think we can all be.
Oh,
I mean, everyone.
all of that, yes, that would be better, that we have a council workshop, somewhat like, they did when I was elected and we did it somewhere else. It would be great to have you guys come and just sit down with us and have a nice lunch with Kate and Michelle. I so look forward to that. And I'm gonna work to plan that, just so that we could pick your brain, because I got so much, sure, speaking with you, and Diane has such good information. Mayor, I'd like to thank you, for giving my husband that oval. We finally, our street is not called strap coordinating or strap, whatever it is. So we have a good thing. I said, well, babe, what's that white stuff around there? He says, I'll get to it. But Mayor, thank you.
I thank him for putting it up.
Yeah.
They need it.
Thank you, for all that you do, going every time there's a new resident, you just make that journey, that trek. I know when I moved into the borough, it was during COVID. And you had to waiting, because I think we weren't even permitted to go to people's houses or whatever, but you came down anyway, and you brought us that packet. Thank you. I'd like to thank Denny and not Gab. David. I think being here and Ralph, that, he was down to my home and we had an emergency. And so he is right. Those guys come and they come so fast. As being someone new to the neighborhood, and the police chief, you guys are awesome. And the residents, I've never found just so many pleasant residents and constituents. It's just such a pleasure to work with the residents. It's a pleasure to work with everyone on council, everyone. And so I just so appreciate that. But if we could just take this time of the season to be kind to one another, and some of those things, just, as we get older, as you get like me, it's just, I don't know, it really doesn't matter anymore. And so, but respect does go a long way. And you find it as you get more seasoned, it goes a long way. you know, and we don't want to break bridges. We want bridges that we can keep going back across, but we want to be respected at all times, regardless of how we feel. And so I do enjoy working with you. And Michelle, I have to say personally, when I have a question, because I don't get it, and I probably never will, I can come to Michelle, and you've just been so, so helpful in getting the information that I need, helping me to come early and actually helping me get that sign, you know, checked up on my little iPad and all that stuff. I still appreciate you guys. And thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Amber. As everyone will say, we couldn't do this alone. Our staff is amazing. The people that we work with are amazing. Our residents are amazing. I wouldn't do this if I didn't like this community. It's a labor of love because I love you. I love this borough and I love people I work with. So to the staff, thank you so much. And thank you for always taking my call and always being there. And even on a bad day, you'll bring me up, right? And I hope I do the same, maybe not. Thank you to council. You guys are a pleasure to work with. It is a very amazing council. Look at this council. This is a diverse group of people who have amazing ideas. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to the Diane Laws and everyone who has served before us, because we wouldn't be here without y'all. You know, like that is, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Gins. We would be out Gins. Thank you, Chief, and for all your police officers. That's a tireless job. Thank you, Ralph. I mean, goodness gracious, you know this borough better than Pecky the turkey. I just want to say thank you. Happy holidays, everyone. Please be safe. Do move your cars off when they're trying to plow, because I've definitely seen these guys have to go around cars and it's not good seeing it all. But other than that, if you ever need us, we are available. Reach out. We are here. Thank you.
I just will just say what everyone else has said. I appreciate everyone here and I thank you all. I mean, our chief and our wonderful, wonderful police force that I think we just all take for granted sometimes, and they're just all terrific. Ralph and his team, terrific. Denny, all you, everybody here. David, not here as much. You're not gathered, but it's always nice to have you here. And Diane Law is in the audience, and she was my mentor 3 years ago when I became a council person, and I've always appreciated all the advice. You know, like you said, Shirley, it's nice to have someone like Diane who's still always going to be a part of our community. I mean, as far as more than just a resident. But again, happy holidays to everybody. Please stay safe. Thank you. Greg?
I wanted to take a second to thank Robert Render. He was a former neighbor. He agreed to make the light up night signs at no cost to the borough.
Good.
It was a donation. We're gonna give him a little plug in the newsletter, but Precision Sign and Awning, if you need any signs or awning, call Bob at Precision Sign and Awning. Fortunately, he doesn't have one of the catchy numbers, you know, where you can sing, but yeah, call Bob if you need anything.
Call Bob.
So coming, you know, it's as most people do at the end of the year, you know, you kind of sit back and think about the previous year and reflect, what would you have done different? What would you have stayed the same? And being that it is my first, I don't want to say year on council, but first couple months on council, and you know, we've made it to the end of the year. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone for believing in me to give me the shot to get up here, and for everyone's work that they do. I mean, it's truly an amazing body of work that goes into this. You know, people only get to see us twice a month at the meetings for an hour or two, but there are just countless hours that go into this, from finance to infrastructure to communications, or government management. It's a lot of work. And I know our staff is always there for us. So on top of doing their work, they're helping us with our work. So a huge thank you to Michelle, Ashley, Jacob, the support staff as well, Chief, Ralph, Denny. I mean, Paul, what more do we have to say about Paul? I've never seen him there that is more dedicated to be at every meeting that he possibly can be. I mean, you know, when I see his wife at the Christmas party, and she's like, he does too much. I'm like, he does too much. You know, he loves it. He does it because he loves it. He doesn't do it because he feels obligated to be here. And, you know, you don't see many people that put that kind of dedication into what they do. So a big thank you, Paul. Other than that, Mary, whatever you celebrate, health and happiness in the new year, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Burke?
So we talked about WPJW last week briefly, but I wanted to highlight a couple of things that were not covered. In addition to the 5% rate increase beginning January 1 of 2025, they have a Pinvest Phase 3 project that was awarded to the authority for lead line replacement. There are no municipality restrictions on Phase 3, so Churchill is eligible. Letters were sent out to all residents that have lead, galvanized, or unknown service line material type. The letter advises these residents to contact MS Consultants to be sent out an agreement allowing for the line to be replaced. So if you get a letter from WPJWA, don't just throw it out. If you don't get a letter, then that means that you don't have any of the lines that need to be replaced. If you do get a letter, that means that you do have a line that needs to be replaced. So please respond. In addition, the borough manager is now going to be receiving a sewage report. The authority is going to be emailing the borough manager a sewage report every 2 weeks. The report contains the amount the authority collected for a date range and shows both the Pakistan fee and the surcharge. Now, we will need to provide to Pakistan. Additionally, the Dollar Energy Fund has officially kicked off. So any resident that needs assistance on the water portion of their bill should go to the Dollar Energy website and follow the instructions to sign up. Regarding the back and forth with council, I know how to maintain the forum and seats where there is contention. Anything that I say publicly or anything that I say in this seat, I believe can be found to be true and tested. I have documents that back up everything that I say or project from this role. So I thank the members of Churchill Borough for providing me with the space to be here. I come to these council meetings, to our workshop meetings, to our committee meetings, with my heart being set on ensuring that I'm doing things for the good of this community, ensuring that I am speaking for all residents from every household, every background, every circumstance and situation. So I don't take this role lightly. And I just thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Well, not to belabor, everyone said about all the people who work for the borough. It's all true stuff, you know, from the chief to Ralph, everybody puts 100% of their effort into the borough. Some things most people talk about things that I had listed on here. One thing I will remind us, this coming Friday, Santa will be in the Yale room. And we're gonna be taking pictures with pets. It's been scheduled, I think, every 15 minutes, so that there's no conflict between animals. I just recently talked with Santa and he will be here on Friday at 5 o'clock. So that's when it all starts. I don't think it's too late to register. Ashley could tell us.
Still call and register. It's gonna be in the council chambers in here.
Oh, we're gonna do it in
Yes.
here? Okay. I see Santa already left his chair here, so we're good. So and then following that on the 13th, Santa will be riding around in the borough again on the back of the fire, not on the back of the fire truck, but
Somewhere on the fire truck.
somewhere on the fire. And Jingle will also be there. So that week is this Friday, the 13th.
No,
Yes.
Saturday.
10 a.m. to
I do have-
1:30.
Is it 10?
Literally list for the.
And we will be posting the route on our website, on Savvy Citizen,
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah,
Um,
Saturday.
And these are estimates, so the time, we might be a little off with the fire truck and Santa.
I did forward that schedule to you last week, so if you wanna change it, however.
Sometimes Santa starts talking a little bit too much with the kids, and it's hard to pull them away, but we try to keep the schedule as close to what.
So allow between 10 and 15 minutes.
Yes. So listen to the sirens, I guess?
Yeah.
For our sirens, that's Saturday. Friday's the pets, Saturday is the parade.
Right.
Yes.
So that's the thing, I can't say enough about last Friday with the light up night, how well that went off. And the kids, the thing that I was most impressed with, were the children that were here. They're writing letters to Santa Claus, decorating cookies, sitting on his lap, just everything about that whole evening. I know Greg, Deb, and everybody was involved.
Especially Brad. Brad
Greg, I mean,
is such a
a lot
great
of
decorator.
work.
Right.
Cheryl, did your city council chambers decorate like this?
Right, right?
Well, we were more,
Times are changing.
it's a little over the top for me.
Not for us, not for us.
I can see that. Bows on the.
Doors,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That was supposed to be red. It looked very red in the store, but when I came out, there was like plastic wrapped around it too. And I was like, oh, this is pink.
And for, you know, for,
My sister loves it, so.
and for Shirley to make the comments, Greg to make the comments about myself. And people who know me know that I take my position as mayor very seriously. I put 100% into it. I very much enjoy going and welcoming every new resident comes in. I usually save when I hit a high point. It's been a while since I reported to the council how many residents I've welcomed so far. But the last count, I was up to 488.
Wow, amazing. Thank you.
Knock on the door. I did have to make a limit. I tried 3 times to get you. After the 3rd time, I got a milk tea because I'm getting old. Anyway, but I try to do that. I can't ask for a nicer tea. Every time, I don't ever make an appointment to see him. Just walk into his office and I yell, gee, look, okay, we sit down and we talk. He lets me know what's going on. You know, if it's not an email, it's a text. He's always letting me know what's going on. So I really appreciate that. So, and everybody else who we work with on council, you know, I'm glad to be around. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'm not. Great. I wrote a little something. I practiced it a few times in my head. So it's been 1 year since I have been council president, and we're closing out a year. Our council has changed tremendously in the last 4-ish years that I have been here. So I want to take a moment to thank our council and our previous council getting us where we currently are, as well as the constituents that we serve. At the end of the day, we serve you. We are also part of this community, but we are here to serve you. So I want to say thank you to that. This year has brought many challenges, learning experiences, tough decisions, and plenty of hard work, as we have all mentioned. While we may not always agree, I am really grateful for the respect and the dialogue that we shared with our commitment to this community. Not only our commitment, but our commitment to improving and making things better in our community. Your voices, your perspectives, and your dedication is what drives us forward with the help of our staff. We have made so much progress, and I'm really looking forward to continuing the important work that everybody is doing this coming year. So thank you deeply to our staff, our support staff, our engineer, our solicitor, you all. Thank you for everything that you have brought to the table, your perspective, your ideas. I can't say thank you enough, truly. So I want to wish you all a very safe and happy new year. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, motion to adjourn. We are done. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.